Hey guys, it's Melanie. Welcome back, or welcome if you are new. I hope you are having a fantastic day. Listen, some of you are not at all ready to start discussing fall home fragrance quite yet. If that is you, I completely respect that. If you are still enjoying all of your summer home fragrance, you keep enjoying that. Maybe come back to this video at the end of August, beginning of September. But as someone who is always ready to be done with the summer, I am super excited to share these new fall fragrances with you. So while I was out of town, Kringle Candle was kind enough to send me a sample of the 6 new fragrances that are launching for fall 2025. So these are the core fragrances for the fall this year from Kringle Candle, which means they're not going anywhere. You don't have to buy these today. They are launching today on July 10th at noon Eastern Standard Time on the Kringle Candle website. I will have Kringle linked in the description box below. You can also use my discount code Melanie15. That'll save you 15% off of the purchase of these if you do happen to want to pick them up today. But listen, these are not going anywhere. You don't have to rush out today to get these candles. These are our fall 2025 fragrances, so they're not going anywhere anytime soon. So anyway, let me give you guys some details about this launch here. So obviously I already mentioned that these are launching today at noon. It looks like these are going to be available in the large jar format, the 4-wick jar format, so their new luxe size, if you will, the daylights, and the wax melts. There are no medium jars. I know some of you are going to be upset by that, but there are no medium jars available. You either have the 2-wick tumblers, the 4-wick jars, or you have the daylights or the wax melts. I always suggest that if you are unsure about a fragrance, that you start with either the wax melts or the daylights. I think the daylights are a really fantastic, like larger votive style option to be able to experience the fragrance when it is actually lit. So they're a great kind of trial format that allows you to determine whether you even like the fragrance or not. And since Kringle is obviously not available in, every store around the corner, I think this is a great way to try some of these scents before making a big commitment. So yeah, that's what we are looking at here. So 6 fragrances. Let me just tell you the names of them, and then what we're going to do in this video is the usual first sniff impressions. Because these candles are going to be around for the entire season, I am not going to be doing any initial post-burn reviews in this video here. I will start burning these candles, but I'm going to start doing that here in the next couple of weeks. I do want to finish up some of my summer home fragrance, so I'm going to focus a little bit more on that before actually digging into these fall candles, but you will start seeing post-burn reviews probably in I'm thinking probably early to mid-August for these fall fragrances, so stay tuned for that. So the 6 fragrances are Amberwood Moss, Vancouver Cabin, Apple Rum Cake, which I'm really excited about, Velvet Fig, it's another one I'm kind of excited about, Rosewood and Vetiver, and then we have Whiskey and Embers. So this box is still sealed. Let me just show you again. Tape's still on there. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna open this up, and we are going to start grabbing some of these candles, and I'm gonna tell you just what my first sniff impression is. I do have all of the fragrance notes, so I'll read through those with you, and we'll just kind of see what's in store for fall from Kringle Candle. There's no country candle lineup because the spring summer release was the very last one for country candles, so There's no country candles for fall this year. If that is a surprise to you, I'm really sorry to break the news, but Kringle Candle did make the decision to go ahead and eliminate country candle as a whole. They did mention that there could be maybe some limited edition releases in the future potentially for country. They didn't completely rule that out, but in terms of the country candle line being a regular thing for Kringle, it's not a thing anymore, so sorry about that. Anyway, let me go ahead and open this box off camera here, and then let's start sniffing through these fall candles. Oh, I can't wait. Man, I love the fall. Raise your hand if you are over the summer already. Me, I'm over it. Let's move on. All right, let me open this box. Okay, the box is open and we are ready to dig in. But before we do, just one more quick thank you to Kringle Candle for sending these out so that I could share my thoughts with you. This is incredibly generous of Kringle, and I am always super, super appreciative. So thank you, Kringle Candle. Anyway, I can't actually see the labels because they are covered by these packing peanuts here. So I'm just literally going to be I'll grab one of the candles from the middle here, and that's where we'll start. So let's see what we get here. Ooh, okay. I like this label. This is Vancouver Cabin, and this scene right here is, I think this might be my retirement dream. I am a massive introvert, and I really do feel like I belong in a cabin in the mountains. Isn't this beautiful? I love it. Anyway, let's take a closer look at this label. So you've got the mountains in the background. You've got this beautiful lake in the forefront, and then this really sweet little cabin off to the side. Again, this speaks to me. This would be like the most perfect living situation for me personally. I mean, I would need some other people here with me, but yeah, as someone who really likes to be out in nature, this particular label really speaks to me. So our notes here are bergamot. Ooh, we're back to the bergamot. This has been a bergamot heavy year for Kringle, I tell you that. The spring and summer candles, full of bergamot. All right, so bergamot, cedar, balsamic, patchouli, moss, and amber. All right, let's see what we get here. Ooh, okay. Ooh, on cold sniff, this is an immediate like, but I will say it's kind of presenting. And I know this is gonna drive some of you crazy because you were hoping probably for a lot more gourmand, but this is coming across a little bit perfumey. But it's a really beautiful fragrance. The bergamot is not crazy aggressive or like the most potent aspect of this particular fragrance. So that is definitely, that's a bonus to me. I like bergamot, but it needs to be in kind of smaller doses, and this is a nice small dose of it. I love the cedar here. It's not overly masculine smelling. There's a little bit of sweetness, which I think is definitely coming from that balsamic note. The patchouli is a warm, really perfumey patchouli. It's not super earthy smelling. I get a little bit of that moss for sure as well. And the amber is that warm, cozy, like resinous, perfumey amber that Kringle seems to really like a lot. This is patchouli and amber done right in this one. This is just so good, you guys. I wouldn't say outright that this is a fall fragrance per se. I think this one could definitely be enjoyed during other parts of the year. Probably not around the holidays. This doesn't really smell like the holidays to me. I think I'm definitely going to enjoy this in the fall, but I also think this is something that I could easily start burning now, and I feel like it would almost kind of make sense. I really like this. I think I could fall in love with this one. This is really beautiful, but is it a gourmand? No, it's not. Let's grab the next one. Oh, and it looks like we got Rosewood and Vetiver. I'm kind of expecting this one to also be maybe a little bit more of a masculine perfumey type of vibe. So let's take a look at the label. Looks like we have a guitar sitting on a pile of leaves here. So very pretty fall scene. The notes for Rosewood and Vetiver are amber, wood, floral, fruit, amber, and tobacco leaf. So there might be some sweetness here from the fruit. I think the floral, I'll be curious to see how that presents in here. I like amber, and it is listed twice. So hopefully we get a healthy dose of amber here. So let's dig in. Ooh, okay, definitely more perfumey, quite masculine, I would say, in its presentation. It is sweet though. That tobacco leaf is coming across as a very like sweet type of like pipe tobacco type note. There is quite a bit of woodiness here. I would say it kind of smells like oak to my nose. I think it's quite oaky. That amber is super nice. It is not, it's a different amber from what is in here. It's not quite as warm or quite as resinous as the amber from Kringle normally is. But this is also a nice amber. It just feels a little bit lighter. It's kind of like they mixed the amber with like a white leather type note. I like this, but I don't think that I love this one, at least not on cold sniff. But it definitely is presenting as, again, a little more perfumey. It's funny, I'm not getting the floral reference at all. I was wondering if the floral might be something like a lavender potentially, but I'm really not getting any floral. And the fruit is interesting because there is a sweetness, but I feel like the sweetness is coming from that tobacco note. To my nose, tobacco can either smell kind of smoky or it can smell kind of sweet. This particular tobacco is a little bit more sweet. I like this. I feel like the more I smell it, the more I like it, but I don't think this is one that I am gonna fall in love with. And it's another one where I wouldn't necessarily think fall. I mean, the label definitely reads a little bit more fall, but I also think this is another one of those fragrances that could be burned at other times of the year as well. So far, I'm not seeing anything that is just outright fall. So let's hope, let's see if this one is, I'm really hoping for the gourmand. Oh, and I got it. Okay, I'm so excited about this one. This is the one that I was happiest about when I initially heard about these fall releases. This is the apple rum cake. Kringle used to have in the Country Candle line an apple cider cake, and I loved it. And I was really bummed when they discontinued that fragrance. That is one of those apple scents that I would really like Kringle to move over into this core line. It is delicious, and I feel like it did not get the love that it deserved. So my fingers are crossed that it comes back. But maybe this will be an adequate replacement for it. So let's take a look at the label. Looks like we just have an apple cake. So it looks delicious. We've got some apples in the background here. This is definitely a yummy gourmand label here. So our notes are apple, spiced rum, dates, fruit, pastry, cinnamon, and nutmeg. So pretty classic. Let's see. Ooh, that's nice. Okay. This is one of those times where I can definitely smell that rum, especially on cold sniff. It's very much it kind of smells like the Captain Morgan's spiced rum. Yeah, it's a spiced rum for sure. It's a little boozy. On cold sniff, this is definitely a little boozy. I'll be curious to see if post-burn, if that boozy note tones down a little bit. Personally, I hope that it does, because I'm not a huge fan of boozy scents necessarily. But I do like everything else that's happening here, so I'm just gonna cross my fingers that a little bit of that booze burns off, if you will. But I really like the apple here. It's a very intensely sweet apple. I would say maybe along the lines of like a cross between a Honeycrisp and a Macintosh apple, kind of in between those two apple scents or flavors, if you will. It's a very, very sweet apple. And then it immediately goes into that spiced rum. You smell that cinnamon. It is not a red hot cinnamon, thankfully. And I love that nutmeg in here. It's just like a little dash of nutmeg at the top. Okay, this is good. This smells truly, truly edible. In terms of the pastry note, I do feel like I smell like an actual like apple cake type note. It's a true gourmand. It's not just a fruity apple scent. There is something else to this. And it smells, yeah, like a heavy, like cake type note. Not anything light and airy. Definitely like a fall, like a pumpkin loaf. You know how a pumpkin loaf just feels heavier when you pick it up? A lot of butter in there. That is definitely what I'm getting here. It's like a heavy, like spiced, rummy apple cake. I mean, it's pretty aptly named, I will say. I like this a lot. I just hope that maybe a little bit of that booziness burns off once I light this one. That's probably gonna be one of the first ones that I light, because I love me a gourmand. All right, let's grab the next one. Let's see what you are. What are you? Ooh, okay, Amberwood and Moss. Ooh, this scene. I would like this as a painting somewhere in my house for the fall. Look at this. It's a little like fall stream with those gorgeous leaves falling to the ground. I love it. I love it so much. I love this label. This is so pretty. I love this color palette. It speaks to me. Okay, so Amberwood and Moss. Before I smell it, I should tell you what the notes are. Once again, amber, surprise. Moss, green, fougere. This is the French word that I always mess up, so sorry. Stemmy greens, which is interesting. I've never seen greens referred to as stemmy greens. Lavender, fir, and wood. So just based off these notes and what I know about Kringle is, I think this is gonna be another perfumey one. I hope it's not, but I think this is gonna lean kind of perfumey again. And I'm right. Ooh, that lavender. Okay, I actually like it. I don't normally do lavender in small, tiny doses, yes. This is a pretty heavy dose here right off the bat. Like, it's the first thing that hit me, but it's nice. This is not like a traditional like French or English lavender where it smells very soapy right off the bat. This still smells kind of fresh and clean, but it doesn't come across as a soapy lavender, so that's good. I get the moss. I definitely smell that usual Kringle amber here. So again, very warm, very resinous amber. Definitely perfumey. This one is leaning a little bit more maybe feminine perfumey versus masculine. But very, very pretty. Stemmy greens. I'm not sure that I really get much in the way of green here. maybe a slight like earthy green, maybe, but not a ton of like green. Fir, yes, there is a woody note here. So they have fir and wood separated out, but I feel like it just mostly smells like a fir tree. Yeah, I get like a fir tree. And the moss and green, I feel like that green is the moss, if that makes sense. Maybe that'll like all separate out a little bit more after I actually light this up, but just right off the bat, I'm definitely getting that lavender. I'm getting the amber, getting that moss. This is pretty. It's another pretty fragrance, a little bit more feminine, but another perfumey one. So I can already hear some of you now in the comments. And listen, I agree. This is fall. Hopefully we get some limited edition releases that lean just a little bit more gourmand. I am certain that we are going to be seeing some fall reserve fragrances as well. So maybe they're kind of holding off on the gourmand for those. But they're gonna have to come through for us gourmand lovers just a little bit more, at least based on these first few here. We've obviously got that apple rum cake, which that's nice, but I think most people really prefer gourmands in the fall, so come on, Kringle. Give us the gourmands. Okay, whiskey and Embers. All right, let's take a look at this label. I also really like this scene here. It looks like a nice glass of whiskey next to a book in front of a roaring fire, which is a super cozy scene for sure. So that's really, really pretty. The notes here are whiskey, wood smoke. I normally like this wood smoke note that Kringle does. I have seen it before in some of their Halloween fragrances. Speaking of Halloween, I will have some Halloween news very shortly, so stay tuned. Tonka, spice, amber, and wood. So, once again, we have the amber, which leads me to believe that there could be another perfumey vibe here. So, let's see. How boozy is this gonna be? Ooh, quite boozy. Do you guys remember the Reserve Manhattan fragrance? Kind of reminds me a little bit of that. I don't love this right off the bat. I'm always gonna be very honest about just my personal opinions. When it comes to just fragrances themselves, that is a very like subjective, like personal thing. And for me, boozy scents, typically they're a little tricky. This rum cake here, I think I'm okay with the spiced rum in here, but this is even much more boozy than the rum cake. I smell a definite whiskey here. I'm very familiar with like the smell of whiskey because Craig has a pretty like extensive whiskey collection. That's kind of his thing. So our liquor cabinet downstairs has a bunch of really expensive whiskey, and then he has some cheaper whiskeys that he uses just for mixing, but that's kind of Craig's thing. And this is definitely like that specific boozy whiskey, like oaky liquor type of note for sure. There's also an interesting sweetness to this one. Maybe that's the Tonka. Tonka, to my nose, always smells like an unsweetened vanilla. But maybe this particular Tonka has just a little bit more sweetness to it. I do get that wood smoke note in here as well. And the spice, I don't really get much in the way of spice. This is interesting to my nose, but it is not something that I think I'm gonna fall in love with personally. I think Craig might actually really like this one. This might be a fun one for the backyard in the fall. We do have a covered patio and we utilize that outside area of our house year-round. We do live in Oregon, so yes, there's a lot of rain and it does get pretty cold in the fall and into the winter, but we do have an outdoor fireplace, so we spend a lot of time out there. And I do use home fragrance outside, and this is one of those where I think I would enjoy this outside by the fire just a little bit more. I feel like if there was a little bit more of that wood smoke in here, I think I might actually like this a little bit more, but it's a kind of a small amount of the wood smoke. So, all right, we have one more. Let's see what we're getting here. Hopefully not another perfumey one. Okay, we have Velvet Fig. Figs should not smell perfumey necessarily. They can be. You certainly can get a perfumey fig, but I'm hoping that this is gonna give us some more like fruity gourmand type vibes. So on the label, we just have some figs. They're beautiful. We all know what a fig looks like. They are delicious, especially with goat cheese wrapped in bacon. So good. I'll take 8 of those. Okay, our notes here are ripe fig, sweet, cognac. So this, I think this is the fall of booze for Kringle. Creamy, amber, once again, tonka, once again, and woody. So let's see. Ooh, interesting. Okay, this is, I don't know why, but my very first like sniff of this, the fig smelled kind of fresh. Not necessarily sweet and jammy, but kind of fresh. But the more that I smell this, the more of that creaminess is coming through and a little bit more of that earthiness from the fig is starting to break through. But it kind of surprised me, that initial freshness. Wasn't expecting that. Funny enough, this is one of the first ones where I don't smell the amber in here. I get a very light, almost, not necessarily wood, but like a sandalwood type note. It's not a very heavy wood. It's really more of like a sandalwood. It's definitely some more sweetness. The more I'm smelling it, the more of that figgy sweetness is coming through. Okay, I like this. I was kind of hoping that this would be a Bath and Body Works brown sugar and fig type vibe. That's not what this is. Not that I should have expected that, because I did have the notes prior to these arriving, but I still had my fingers crossed for a brown sugar and fig, but that's not what this is. If you're expecting that, no. In fact, this fig note it's very different from the brown sugar and fig. I feel like that one is very sweet, mostly because of the brown sugar that was in it. But I also feel like just the fig by itself was a little sweeter, almost like the figs were stewed in the brown sugar. This is more so maybe a just ripe, freshly cut fig. I like this. I do like it. The more I smell it, the more I like it, but it's not an immediate love. So let's rank these. I love to rank things. Okay, first, I am definitely going to go with the apple rum cake. That is my number 1. Second, you know what? This Vancouver Cabin is really good. I'm gonna go with Vancouver Cabin as my number 2. the Velvet Fig as number 3. Hold please, I have to compare these two. Okay. Amberwood Moss at number 4. Rosewood and Vetiver at number 5. And dead last is going to be the Whiskey and Embers. Yeah, very boozy. Do you like whiskey? You should get this candle because it's literally like you are sticking your nose into, let's see if I can remember one of the brands of the Walker. Does that sound familiar to the whiskey people? Elijah Craig, I've seen that in there. Glenlivet. I don't know. I am not the whiskey person. Craig is. Why is he not here? He should be here. I'll let you guys know how hubby feels about this one because I think this is going to be much more up his alley than mine. But yeah, this one is dead last for me. So there you go. I know I'm going to hear from some of you that there are not nearly enough gourmands here, and I just want you to know right now, I 100% agree with you. I really expected there to be at least 3 solid gourmands. I think if you're going to release 6 fragrances for the fall especially, I think at least half of them should probably be some kind of pumpkin, some gourd type situation, maybe some kind of like, I mean, the apple cake, that was a good choice. Some more, you know, cinnamon, maybe a little bit more nutmeg than what we were seeing here. But yeah, Kringle seems to be very insistent on the more perfumey fragrances, and believe me, I push from behind the scenes. Anytime that I can get like, you know, a little in there, I always let Kringle know that there are a lot of people out there who would really like to see them dig into the gourmand fragrance family a little bit more. So hopefully one of these times we can get a release that is a little bit more gourmand forward. Who knows what they have in store for Christmas, obviously. So fingers crossed that maybe we get a little bit more gourmand there. And we also still have some potential limited edition releases that will be here for the fall, not to mention the fall reserves as well. So there's got to be some more gourmand coming, and I will definitely be staying tuned for that. But as it stands, if you are interested in ordering any of these early on just to be able to test them out, first try those wax melts, try those daylights, see how you feel about them, and then make a decision about whether you'd like to invest in either the 2 wicks or the 4 wicks to be able to enjoy this fall. So anyway, again, thank you to Kringle Candle for sending these out for consideration. It is greatly appreciated. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Toodaloo.